How do you know that you are gaining muscle from your weight training and your bodybuilding? We here at 3D Muscle Journey track anywhere from 3 to 5 of the following metrics to ensure that we are gaining muscle from our training and from our bodybuilding. Number 5, the Dexa / Inbody scan. I know already, I can hear it. That should be number 1. That's the one all the scientists use. That's the one that ensures that you are gaining muscle. Well, just hear me out here for a second. Number 1, it's all a matter of practicality. Very few people have access to Dexa scans, Inbody tests, etc. So therefore, it's the one that we use the least. Oftentimes, athletes get Dexa scans too frequently. Even if you can build grams of muscle in a month-to-month fashion, the likelihood that a Dexa scan is going to pick up milligrams of muscle that have been built is very unlikely. Take it from somebody who has done Dexa scans using the Hologic Dexa scanner for bone densitometry. That small a measurement is very hard to be able to pick up with all of the variations in position on the table, the variation of hydration of the body in the different states that it's in. You're going to use Dexa and Inbody scans to assess if you have put on muscle. Get them about 2 or 3 times a year at most. All right, number 4, measurements. And even more importantly than getting measurements is properly getting measurements. When I assess measurements, I like to use averages. I like to get 3 measurements at 3 different times of day and then average those measurements out. And use landmarks when you get your measurements. So right at the nipple line, perpendicular to the body, right at the nipple line, that is a landmark that doesn't move. Right at the navel. Any landmark that you might have, a scar, a mole on any particular body part, that's a landmark that's going to make your measurements very reproducible and very apples to apples comparisons as you're getting your measurements. How often should you get measurements? Once every 4 to 6 weeks is fine while cutting. Once every 6 to 10 weeks, while maintaining or bulking. 10 weeks if you're maintaining, 6 weeks if you're bulking. And then there's not even any need to get measurements when you're in a purposeful growth phase. You're going to hear me say this. If you're gaining weight and you're training, you're likely building muscle. Number 3, pictures. And probably even more importantly than that is properly getting pictures. You might want to check out the Physique photo guide that is in 3DMJ Vault. Alberto Nuñez has a very good course there on everything you need to know about getting physique photos. For purposes here, kind of the guidelines, you're going to want to have contrast between your skin tone and the background. Me, I'm extremely white, and oftentimes when we're getting our physique photos, we're nude. So I'm going to use a dark background so that I can really be able to see crisp lines from me to the background. Now, if you have darker skin tone, you might need to use a little bit more pale background, but you want a contrasting background to you in the foreground. Always use the same lighting. A good way of being able to reproduce your photos is if you're in natural lighting, stand in front of the same window, the same distance from the window to your camera, and then the same distance from your camera to you. Likewise, always get it at the same time of day. So when I get my photos that I'm sending to either Jeff or I'm assessing my physique, I always get them at roughly 5 o'clock in the afternoon between the months of about late April until August, because the lighting is always the same. And then always use the same poses. That's kind of a given. Number 2, body weight. And more importantly, use the averages each week. You need some day-to-day data points, no more than probably 4 times a week when things are consistent. But more importantly than that, average those 4 times a week and then compare those averages week by week by week. A good rule of thumb is if you're gaining weight and you're training, you're probably gaining muscle. You'd have to be doing an awful lot of things wrong in the training department in order to be gaining weight and not gaining muscle. So use those averages and just ensure that when you're comparing those averages over time, you're seeing body weight go up. Number 1, training performance and tracking training performance and monitoring your ability to progress. The rest of this video is going to be spent on training performance and tracking training performance. This is, in my opinion, the most misunderstood, but probably the most important metric to track. Changes to your physique through photos, measurements, Dexa scan, they happen so slow that we need ways to ensure that we're building muscle in a faster metric. If you have a progression plan in place, either double progression or linear periodization or even linear progression, if you are able to do that in this point in your career, that's all fine and dandy. But are you able to progress? Is the outcome of your training progression when you don't even have a progression plan in place? So let me give you an example. CrossFit athletes who complete a workout of certain amount of repetitions in this event, lifting this weight so many times in this event, and et cetera, if they complete that event in 10 minutes and then go about their training for the rest of the year or 2 years or whatever, and then they go back to that same workout and they're able to complete that same workout in 8 minutes, they have progressed. The outcome of their training has been progression. We need to do that in bodybuilding too. We need to track certain metrics to ensure that even without trying, just our hard training results in the ability to progress. How do you do this? Use very apples to apples comparisons. This is how I do it. Using the same movement, the same tempo, the same load, train a set, preferably the last one, or even better yet, if you're only doing one, train that exercise with all of those previous variables in place to failure. Have one of those on each of your body parts that you train each and every week. Try to keep that exercise in the same order of your training. So in other words, if it's the last exercise of the day, always keep it the last exercise of the day. If it's the first exercise of the day, always keep it the first exercise of the day. If it's somewhere in the middle, as long as you're fatigued, it can happen anywhere in the middle. But you're not getting an apples to apples comparison if you're training a set to failure and then you do that last when normally you do it in the middle because you're going to be more fatigued. Likewise, if you normally train that somewhere in the middle and you train that first, it's going to look like you've progressed when you haven't. You've just been fresher on that particular workout. So with all of those variables in place, same tempo, same load, training to a failure repetition, preferably where you're just not able to complete the full range of motion as opposed to just cheating and heaving the exercise. And watching that rep that you fail on over each and every single week, if that repetition that you fail on is going up over time, you are progressing, which is indicative of your ability to be able to recover from your training. Because if you're recovering from your training, in all likelihood, progression is happening. And if you're recovering from your training, you're going to see on those certain exercises that you're tracking your training performance, that failure repetition is going up over time. The ability of you to progress is there and you are building muscle. Now, if the flip is happening and on those exercises that you're training to failure, over the course of time, those reps are going down, you're not recovering from your training and you don't have the ability to progress. And so therefore, the chances that you're building muscle are less likely. That does not mean that you are not, if you're not progressing, it does not mean that you are not building muscle. Is with these metrics in place, never throw the baby out with the bathwater and adjust your training when you're seeing only one of those 5 metrics declining. Even if training performance is declining for those certain trackable exercises, I'm going to look at the other metrics that we're tracking. If training performance is going down, but body weight is going up, or measurements are getting bigger, then I might just tweak things slightly on the training front in order to get progression happening. But I will not change the program, change all of my volume, etc. I will simply maybe reduce the intensifiers a little bit. Maybe we train to a lower RPE, less failure, maybe less mile repetitions, less supersetting, but very minor tweaks. And then again, monitor and see what happens on those trackable exercises, aka training to the failure repetition in a specific set, and see if training performance picks up. Likewise, if we see that measurements went down or they're flat, or the Dexa scan showed that we didn't gain any muscle from last time, if one of those 5 metrics has shown a decline, I don't do anything. It's only when I see that the majority or 50% of the metrics are declining that we really need to evaluate, assess, and make wholesale changes. All right, those are the 5 metrics that we use to ensure that we're gaining muscle from our training. And I hope that you benefited from that and can utilize that in your training.
This course is all about custom tailoring a program for your needs, your goals, and your schedule. I'm going to be going over the big picture concepts that lead to how to actually set up a program. But then I'm going to pass the baton on to Coach Alberto Nuñez, who's going to discuss how to apply these on a day-to-day basis. And you're also going to have a handy calculator and tracker that Coach Brad Loomis specifically created and what he uses with his clients. So this course is going to be all 3 of us collaborating together to teach you how to make your own custom program. It's everything you need to build something tailored to you to help you reach your goals.
Sometimes the best way to get to what the athlete wants is going to have you like, here's the road, and you're going to kind of be doing this.
How can I get my hands on this sheet? How do I use it? How do I punch my program into it? So what you're going to notice is that right down over here, you've got a pull down menu. And in this pull down menu is a grouping of about 100 and some odd exercises.